Hey gang, Gutting the Sacred Cow episode 40 is here. 40, wow! We've almost done this for a year now and made so many leaps and bounds, but episode 40 is here with Bill McCuddy doing Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Before we get to it, just a couple quick notes. Guess what? We're turning the tables on ourselves for once. We're going to bring back a fan favorite guest and have them sit as the judge and have Kevin Israel and myself pitch a film, pitch an argument, and see if our guest judge buys our argument and see if we can actually gut the sacred cow. So that's coming up very soon. Be on the lookout for that. Thank you, everybody, yet again, for telling your friends. Please continue to do so about our podcast, as well as giving us those 5-star ratings and 2-sentence reviews on Amazon. Not Amazon. What the hell am I saying? I'm not on Amazon. Not for this, at least. For Apple, for whatever podcast platform you're on, thank you for doing that. GuttingTheSacredCow.com every day has new material. Lists of 10, sequels we wanted to see, sequels we didn't want to see. You know the drill. Gutting the Sacred Cow every single day. And lastly, do us a favor. Actually, we'll help you do a favor too. Take a picture with you wearing your merch from the Gutting the Sacred Cow merch store. Take a picture, post it, tag us, and then we'll tag you and put you on all of our social media accounts, and thanking you yet again for doing so. So without further ado, Bill McCuddy doing Fast Times at Ridgemont High. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. This has been an absolute joy doing this podcast, and you guys make it so much easier with all your love. Thank you so much. Love you guys and girls and everybody. Take care.
Gather round, here's what I know. It's just that this cow has got to go. I know some people kinda like it, yeah, it's trending right now. Yeah, that doesn't matter, 'cause we're gutting the sacred cow.
Anybody seen Richie? Anybody know what he did to Bobby Lupo? I'm going to keep coming around till someone remembers seeing Richie. Our guest, Bill McCuddy, knows this film. Does Kevin Israel know this film?
Nope.
Have no idea.
Oh, I thought you did by your face. You son of a bitch. You tease. The film is 1991's Out for Justice starring Steven Seagal, a classic.
Oh my God.
It's so terrifically bad, but so, it's such a guilty
You know
pleasure.
what's funny about Seagal is that year after year, starting in 91, they shot him higher and higher on his body. Because he's like a Buddha now. But
Oh, yeah, he's fat.
Literally shot him. They started shooting him super wide, and then when he got really big, like Kelly did, his wife, they started shooting him closer up and closer up and closer.
An
up.
actress just recently went off on him and said that he's just a big fat bully.
Yeah,
And I can't remember who it was.
Someone was on the Stern Show. I forgot what actor.
That
And said he was working with Seagal, and Seagal comes out of a room with a bunch of papers in his hand. He goes, "I just read the greatest script ever written." And the guy goes, "Well, who? Who wrote it?" He goes, "I did." Doesn't get more Seagal than that, I would think.
There's a great Saturday Night Live that he hosted, and they have him as a little kid in this one movie where he's like it's a fake trailer for a movie, and he's like this little kid who saves Alaskan whales and like is like an environmentalist, and there's an oil slick.
On Deadly Ground.
There's this little
Oh, yeah.
little version of him going, "No!" just like an adult.
By the way, it was Charlize Theron who said he was fat.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, she was on, that's right. She said on Stern recently. Oh, one more Seagal fact. We did Face Off a few weeks ago with none other than Anthony Cumia, and doing our 5 fun facts little research. Do you know Seagal and Van Damme were rumored to be attached to try and play the roles of Cage and
I
Travolta?
wish they made that movie.
And and Stallone and Schwarzenegger. I'd pay $20 a piece to see those recreations right now.
You know, a lot of those stories
with the exact same script.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would see both of them with the exact same script.
Yeah.
I know the guy that produced that movie, and I can almost guarantee you that was one of those shotgun scripts that went out to a lot of people. And then after the movie gets made, some assistant at CAA goes, "Well, you know, we sent it to," and they give you this laundry list of things. And all of a sudden, Now we're in the afterglow going, wouldn't have been great if blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but that isn't what they made. And probably they weren't really attached to it. They were just shown the script.
Damn, would that have not have been the greatest fucking film ever made?
I just got a sacred cow.
Our guest today is Bill McCuddy. Bill McCuddy, how are you today, sir?
I'm good, but it's early and it could all go terribly wrong from here.
Where can we find you, by the way? Bill's a show on PBS, but where else can we find you?
I have another podcast called Sitting Around Talking Movies that I do with a guy named Bill Bergoli and Neil Rosen. And I have a PBS All Art show that you alluded to called Talking Pictures that's on once a month. And we're doing that from our homes right now and just telling people what to watch during the pandemic. So we've been busier than ever doing those two things. And then you've heard my voice on lots of television commercials.
Outstanding. But Bill today is not here to do VO for the Pillsbury Doughboy or whatever the hell he's done. He's here to take down the 1982 classic Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
And I've already gotten hate mail on this. Like, I don't know how you guys blast out, but like I've gotten so many, what the are you talking about? That's
our favorite thing to hear.
We would say, besides the Goonies, what's another one that we got a lot of hate mail on? Like, how could you shit on
Spaceballs?
Yeah, Spaceballs. That's another one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I took a big steaming good Black Friday post-Thanksgiving dinner dump on that one, Bill. That film's terrible.
I'm a big Rick Moranis fan, and he just never got discovered the way some of those other SCTV and people in their movie careers. We could do a whole episode
Candy
on
did.
I don't think he ever
Candy
wanted
did.
to, though.
SNL and SCTV people that just couldn't make it happen on a big screen. So and I love Mel Brooks, who just today or yesterday turned like 95 or 96, 97.
Well, hold on. Rick Moranis did make Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Honey, I Blew Up the Kids.
Yes.
And Ghostbusters.
Out of the limelight.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not considered a part of Ghostbusters that was essential. But yeah, you're right. He showed up on a couple of things that were.
Parenthood. There's another one.
Yeah.
But anyway, like I said.
Daddy, can I throw up? Yes. Classic scene.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High in 1982 had a budget of $5 million, a worldwide haul of $50 million. Now, translate that to 2020 money, a budget of $13 million, and an overall haul of $136 million. That's a hell of an ROI for a small film the studios wish would almost go away. Now it's time to guess the scores. We got a critic right here, so this should be a layup for you, Bill. IMDb, you know, as a 1 through 10, including decimal points. What did IMDb have for Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
I did not look this up, and I'm going to guess 7.6.
Kevin Israel?
I'm saying 8 flat.
7.2. Bill McCuddy wins the round.
Ah.
Rotten Tomatoes score. Critics, as you know, is a percentage score. What was a percentage score for Rotten Tomato critics?
Well, this I do know because I looked at it today, so I have to sort of excuse myself. If you want me to say it.
No, I do not. Kevin Israel, you guess?
I'm going to go 76.
78. Very close. Both
Very
showcases.
I'll take it.
So close, I'm thinking maybe Kevin did look at.
No, I never look.
No.
I never look.
Audience score. Bill, do you know the audience score? Did you see that one too?
I just remember that it was slightly better, but you know, for one that I'm gutting, it wasn't 90 or 100. It was also in the 70s, I think.
Kevin Israel, you want to take a guess with all those clues you got?
I was gonna say it was like an 81.
80 is the number. Good on
There
you.
we go.
Both showcases again. Next up is quotes. This film is just chock full of quotes.
That I give you.
Kevin, want to start off with some, and I'll finish up.
Sure. Let me pull up my quotes. You know what? I only pulled one quote. Oh no, I pulled two.
I'm going to say one.
The first one is all I need are some tasty waves, a cool buzz, and I'm fine. And the second one is a long one.
I picked out a couple of quotes.
But this little few sentences really stuck with me. First, never let on how much you love the girl. Oh, hi, Debbie. 2, you always call the shots. Kiss me. You won't regret it. Now,
Yes.
3, act like whenever Wherever you are, that's the place
Coolest
to be.
feeling.
Isn't this great? 4. When you're ordering food, you find out what she wants, then order it for the both of you. It's a classy move. Now the lady will have a linguine and white clam sauce and a Coke with no ice.
Nice.
And 5, now this is the most important, Rat. When it comes down to making out, whenever possible, put on side 1 of Led Zeppelin 4.
Love it. I talk about that in a little bit later.
And then they
all
cut
magnificent advice.
They cut
Just
to a
founded
Led
in the
Zeppelin
80s.
song that isn't on 4 because they couldn't get the rights to it, I heard.
My quotes, I shall serve no fries before their time. If you worked in the restaurant business, you use that one ad nauseum. Aloha, Mr. Hand. Spicoli, when you came in here, you had a shirt on. Learn it. Know it. Live it. Whoa, I know that dude. What are you people, on dope? Wait, there's no birthday party in here for me. Where did you get that jacket? I got it from the network. That's such an understated, hilarious line. And of course, we have to end with one that it would be will be shunned by people today. Whoa, those guys are fags.
Yeah, I thought that exact thing when I watched it.
Bill,
I say that today.
Recently?
Say that again, Bill.
Did you guys watch it recently? Because
Last night at 9 p.m.
Yep.
and the fag line was in there.
It's on a DVD, so yes.
Now, see, I watched it on demand today and saw what I know is the full noodle. We're going to talk about the nudity in this movie, I'm sure.
Yes, we are.
In fact, we're going to talk about it slowly. But they took the fag line out of the Spectrum on-demand version that I saw today.
It's still on
Spectrum-
the Amazon online version.
Spectrum are a bunch of communists. I guess we can cross them off our advertising campaign, Kevin.
They're
Spectrum
big hopes
rhymes
for them
with
too.
rectum. That's my slogan for them.
What is it?
Spectrum. It rhymes with rectum. The
Really
quote I
close,
liked was, "You're lewd, crude, obnoxious," and Damon goes, "I can live with that."
Good one.
Oh, but that admits I liked the movie. I better shut up.
I didn't say you did, but now we're going to learn a little more in 5 fun facts. Nick Cage was originally supposed to play the role of Brad, but the producers felt his improv work during his audition was too weird.
That's not shocking.
He was
Would you
also
like?
young.
Go ahead. Say that. Yeah, he was too young. He was, I think, the only guy underage on the cast. Want to take a guess on who turned down the role to play Mr. Hand?
Oh, again, I know this.
I have no idea.
Fred Gwynn, Mr. Munster, or the judge from My Cousin Vinny. But he said no because he felt the film was too obscene and objected to teenage sex. Also auditioning for the film, Michelle Pfeiffer, Elizabeth Shue, meow,
Yeah.
Carrie Fisher, Ralph Macchio, 2/3 of the Karate Kid trio right there, and Mr. Ferris Bueller himself, Matthew Broderick. Which director turned this film down as he said the script was not in his wheelhouse? David Lynch.
Oh, yeah. And I did read that, and I thought, man, how weird could this movie? Actually, I wouldn't be gutting it if David Lynch had directed it. I have a feeling it would have been dark and cool instead of what it is, which is kind of on the nose.
And it hopped up Dennis Hopper on heroin. Fun fact number 4, this almost got an X rating, but got dropped to an R when they cut the full frontal shot of Vic Damone.
What?
Damone dropped trow when he was
Mike
going to
Damone,
bang.
not
Mike, oh, sorry, Vic. Why did I put Vic? Jesus Christ.
Song stylist Vic Damone.
I did that. Son of a bitch. Of Damone when he dropped trow when he's about to bang Jennifer Jason Leigh. They
Not the full frontal you want out of an 80s movie.
Number 5, the look of disgust on Phoebe Cates' face is real. As when she crashed in on Judge Reinhold jerking off, he was jerking off with a dildo.
That's not how you do it?
I mean, it's like playing the accordion, but, you know, as my grandfather used to say. But enough of that happy horse shit. We have Bill McCuddy here to come on because he does not like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So, Bill McCuddy, the floor is yours, too. Gut the sacred cow.
Okay, here's my opening statement. The thing everyone likes about this film is the thing that most films don't enjoy, and that's the fact that everybody, including probably the prop mistress on this movie, went on to become huge stars in other films. But when you take the script of this Amy Heckerling, first time job for her directing, and also the first time script by Cameron Crowe, who I'm going to go on to praise in other things if you give me enough time. He did great stuff after this, including some high school movies that are much more original. If you only look at the script and the storyline, it falls someplace between Porky's and Animal House. It's way better than Porky's. It's not nearly as good as Animal House. It's got some very pedestrian characters. Judge Reinhold works in a fast food restaurant. The two girls work in a pizza place at the Galleria Mall. There's nothing interesting about a lot of the scenes, and nothing moves forward to any kind of a conclusion. We're dropped into a time period with these characters, and we're fascinated by them because Sean Penn went on to become Sean Penn. The only thing this movie does that I agree with is it has very little of Nicolas Cage in it. Almost like blink and you'll miss him in this thing. As you mentioned, he wanted to play a bigger part, and he lied to them because you can only work certain amount of hours if you're 17. He told them he was 18. And so when they found out he wasn't, they had to take some of his screen time away from him, or wouldn't let him be in it as much as he wanted to be. I think the film is just way overrated. I look at a movie like Say Anything, which is another Cameron Crowe script that you got Lloyd Dobler, who's like John Cusack, is into kickboxing. You've got Lily Taylor, who sings 50 songs about Joe. Just crazy, cooler, more original ideas in play here. This is a standard high school movie amped up to everyone's idea of a seminal movie just because of the cast. And that's basically my problem with it.
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Any other points about the plot itself, or the jokes, or?
Well, they're just very standard. I mean, and some of the jokes the jokes work only because they're really extremely R-rated at the time, but now are kind of tame. I mean, this isn't anything we're not seeing on almost every other outlet that we're watching right now. So the idea that this is amazing, yeah, Phoebe Cates and Jennifer Jason Leigh take their tops off for a long time, and that's fascinating. Still to this day, I have to agree with that. But everybody except Robert Romanus, is that how you say his name?
Sure.
Let this be a lesson to any actor. If you drive a gremlin in a movie, you are never going to be famous after that movie. This is the guy that I thought was actually going to break out when I went to see it in the early 90s. I thought this is the guy, the scalper guy, who's trying to, who's kind of a dick to Jennifer Jason Leigh. And that guy's career went absolutely nowhere. But as I mentioned, everybody else, including, I mean, Forrest Whitaker is in this thing. Anthony
before his eyes got goofy.
No, they were goofy here too.
I feel like they evolved into goofier.
No, maybe, but they were still notable here.
Nancy Wilson of Heart is in this thing, kind of the way Suzanne Summers pulls up in a car in American Graffiti, and Cameron Crowe goes on to marry her later. There's lots of cool romantic stories that come out of this thing. The Galleria Mall in Sherman Oaks is really famous, and that's where they shot it from like midnight until 6 in the morning. There's all this lore around this movie, but the movie itself is kind of lightweight.
Did you initially like this when this came out?
I thought it was raunchy cool when it came out. Yeah. I mean, I thought it was, yeah. But again, Sean Penn isn't doing anything that Bill and Ted didn't do better in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And later, if you'll give me a chance, I'll tell you the 10 movies I like better about high school than this film.
Tell me them right now.
Yeah, let's hear it.
You want those?
Sure.
I mentioned Say Anything. I also like Almost Famous, which Cameron Crowe also did.
Excellent.
About a kid who travels with
it's a great
rock band. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is the gold standard. There was a movie a couple of years ago with Haley Steinfeld called The Edge of 17, which I thought was amazing. And I've also said Lady Bird was my #1 movie 2 years ago. Lady Bird and Booksmart. Booksmart was a movie that never got its due when it came out. It's awesome. It's better than Superbad, but Superbad's on my list. Bring It On for Dushku is absolutely on the list. And the last two are kind of oldies but goodies. To Sir with Love with Lulu and Sidney Poitier in the mid-'60s. And The Last Picture Show, which Peter Bogdanovich did with Jeff Bridges and the gorgeous Sybil Shepherd. And while I'm mentioning that, before you guys rip me a new one, there's another great podcast starring Peter Bogdanovich, done with a buddy of mine, Ben Mankiewicz at AMC. And it's really, really good. It's called The Plot Thickens. And it's all about the rise and fall of Peter Bogdanovich. I highly recommend it. It's 5 or 6 episodes, a lot of stories about great old Hollywood people that Bogdanovich knew. And he was kind of an asshole, and he admits it, the way Shatner was kind of a prick for his whole career and then got sort of nice at the end. But it's definitely worth listening to.
You forgot, first of all, I will now have issue with some of these films. Lady Bird and Booksmart works faster for me than Ambien, and I turned both of them off maybe halfway through. Awful.
Was
Awful.
Booksmart the one with the 2 girls who were trying to go to college? They were going to go to some fancy
it was
college
so millennial. It had to be so.
Sister.
Yeah, it was so viciously unfunny.
Oh my God!
It was
sit here much
so
longer.
awful. And it's if you hate the millennial thing, if you hate millennials, this is not for you. And the laughs were not there. And Lady Bird was a fucking snooze fest. Now, here's one film you did forget, American Pie. That film is a goddamn American classic teenage romp that everybody loves. It's what Porky's should have been.
Now, I'll agree with that. It's not on my top 10 list, but
well, make room for it, goddammit,
I
because
love
it deserves to be there.
so I like him, and so yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'll agree on a few of those. Say anything, Ferris Bueller. You're right. That holds the trophy for me. But enough on that stuff. Let's Kevin. I'll go first for the notes. First things first. 80s music and arcade sounds always put a smile on my face, no matter where I am and what mood I currently am in. No matter what I hear, either of those, I'm smiling, especially the combination. Next up,
playing Pac-Man.
I love it, and I love the sound of the arcade of all the conglomerations of sounds in one. It takes me back to those days that I just are so gone, and unfortunately so.
Watch Terminator 2.
I saw it. It's on a loop every day, and I get sucked right the fuck in because it's great. Who plays shirtless in a mall arcade? It was always cold in there. Remember that?
It's always freezing.
They had the AC blasting.
Like a casino.
Yeah, he could cut glass with those nips of his if you played shirtless in there. As you had said,
I get the notes now. I like it. Okay, keep going.
If you said before, you did say before, this is a famous mall. You're right, because one of my all-time favorite classic films, 1986's Commando, took place in this mall, where Stallone swings from the rafters on the balloon. Oh.
Is that the one movie Ray Don Chong made?
Yes, it was. Oh, she was also in another one. I just forgot which one it was. But yes, it was Ray Dong Chong. Oh, this guy's an animal. This is one big motherfucker. $20 for front row Van Halen tickets? My God, how old have we gotten? You get any closer than that, you're going to see groupies pouring Scope mouthwash down their throats after sucking David Lee Roth off as he belts out Panama.
And weren't those kids like 11
Yes.
buying the tickets?
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, they weren't allowed to be on the set for more than 10 minutes because, as I said, they were shooting in the middle of the night, and that violated labor laws. So those two kids had like one take, and we're done.
Nothing gets me harder than a walrus tusk than a girl in a pinstripe red dress and a bow tie serving pizza.
Well, I'm sorry for you.
Sarcasm, Bill. It was a much simpler time when you can slap a sign on someone's back that says, "I'm a homo." Now you go to jail for counseling and for bullying.
You want to know something? That wasn't in the version I saw.
Really? I also
The
taking that
second
out?
thing they took out.
You know what? I don't think the homo sign was in the one I saw either. They
was
said
on the
faggot
yeah.
or they're fags, but they didn't say. I think
It was in the opening montage where he pulls into school for the first day, and they're talking to one guy, and he turns around, he slaps a sign on his back.
that wasn't in there.
Sounds like I have a collector's item.
Yeah.
13 years old. Yeah. Jennifer Jason Leigh, 13 years old. It's just sex. Goddamn, that scene must be played on an endless loop at Woody Allen, Roman Polanski, and Chris D'Elia's homes.
Woody Allen is in.
Have you been riding the Chris D'Elia train so hard over the past 48 hours? I'm starting to think that maybe he fucked you.
No, I'm not a 16-year-old girl.
Yeah, but then I don't get me in this, because I think Woody's innocent, and I also think that Chris D'Elia falls into that Aziz category.
He's a bad date.
I haven't seen all of the because he's not released, obviously, all of the text, whatever.
I don't like his stand-up. That's why I'm just being vicious.
I don't think he's talented. I just don't. I feel bad.
Whoa! Now I'm going to cut that out of the podcast. That's ridiculous talk. Great to see a young Forrest Whitaker giving 24/7 side-eye before memes made it popular.
Can he do side-eye?
Well, he has a lazy eye. That's my point.
Okay. Thank you.
And thanks to this film, Kevin Israel learned how to give a less toothy blowjob.
Listen, I've been sucking off carrots for years now.
And they had to reshoot it. Did you guys read that?
Say that again?
That scene where she tells her how to give a blowjob was originally in a hot tub, and they were both naked, and that was one of the other reasons it was going to get an X rating. So they reshot it with the carrot in the cafeteria.
Oh,
you know what? That makes sense, because that whole time I watched that scene, I was like, this is ridiculous that this would happen in a cafeteria. Two girls would have never had this conversation and acted out a blowjob on a carrot. First of all, who got a full carrot in their lunch? And second of all, who would do that with? And all those guys who were watching that scene was that. Now that I'm so glad you said that, because that makes so much more sense.
My favorite thing about what you just said is calling out the irresponsible parent that didn't slice a carrot.
It's a choking hazard. Haha. What was the
My daughter has no gag reflex.
What was the film where they were blowing a ketchup bottle? What was the film that they were blowing a ketchup bottle in the cafeteria?
Oh yeah. That wasn't Animal House. It was.
I can't. I'm blanking. That's why I'm asking you.
I know what you're talking about, though. All right.
So this is not.
This is not
Waka waka waka. You are a fucking liar if you did not write down some of Damone's rules for dating or talking to women, at least the ones that didn't involve you ordering for her. Every guy used that as a very basic principle to figuring out how to talk to women. If you didn't, you're a liar. The stereo guy banged Jennifer Jason Lawrence in a dugout. Reminds me of the time I met a girl in an AOL chat room back in 1999 and took her on her high school football field's 50-yard line, something I'm sure she also did with her baseball team, soccer team, and chemistry teacher.
Ouch.
I still laugh my ass off at Judge Reinhold scrubbing big hairy pussy off the mirror. Nothing more soul-sucking than working at a fast food, a chain restaurant, or corporate America gig like that.
But then walking away when somebody comes in and goes, hey, come on outside, there's something going on. And like, he just leaves it and walks away.
Wait, I have a real quick story to tell because it's so appropriate to this. I worked at a steak and ale. I was a busboy at a steak and ale years ago. I think I was 19. And they had a birthday party, and it was a 90th birthday party. And there was like 30 people. And when they left, they had made a mess. And they're cleaning up. And one of the desserts was chocolate mousse. And so they were cleaning up. And one of the kids goes to grab the chocolate mousse, and it was shit. The birthday boy shit, and he went all over the floor. And then they went into the bathroom, and it looked like somebody took a shit cannon and just covered the whole bathroom with shit. And the guy who was, I don't know, like the maintenance guy, I don't know what his job was there, but he just did everything that nobody else would do. Walked out, looked, and went, nope, I quit, and walked out.
I was going to hope so. I was hoping you had to clean that up, and then you would have said, I quit. That would have been as funny, but that's great. Here's a question. What came faster, Damone inside of JJL or Cool as Ice, the vanilla ice film coming out of theaters? Which came faster? A pure... You like that? I figured an esoteric reference was due, Kevin Israel, so I said Cool as Ice. No one said that. No one's made mention of that in 25
dug deep
years.
for that.
Thank you. A pure dick move, yes, pun intended, by Damone having a hair trigger on his dick and then coming in JJL faster than bull riders can stay on a bull. At least man up and stick around long enough for round 2, dude. We've all had our moments like, just give me 5 to 10 minutes and I can rebound, okay? Especially.
Well, wasn't it nice to know that if that happened to you, the woman was going to say to her friend, you were good for 25 or 30 minutes?
Yeah. The lies that they're telling, that was fucking funny. Good point.
By the way, Kev, 5 to 10 minutes. When you were 17, it was about 2.5, and you were ready to go again.
All right.
You're putting your current standards in place right now.
Someone's read someone's diary.
What's to say about Phoebe Cates' topless scene that my penis hasn't said already 7,258 times?
Did you read that Blockbuster used to get those back on VHS? And
at that moment,
be like blurry because people were pausing it and the heads rub across that scene.
The most jerk scene film in history, said Mr. Skin. I'm not calling him Judge Reinhold anymore. I'm calling him Rosewood from fucking Beverly Hills Cop. Rosewood tucks his jersey, his baseball jersey, into his jeans, which means one thing, that on that set, there was never at one time a real baseball fan. No one tucks their jersey in their jeans. By the way, wasn't it great seeing Scantron test again? Oh, that brought back flood of memories. I will say this. After watching this last night, Bill, after during the first act, I said, there's no fucking way you're going to be able to gut this puppy. But this thing loses steam fast. After Phoebe Cates made countless men freeze their VCRs, this film goes downhill faster than Tom Hanks' character's T-cell count in Philadelphia. You can throw this film in the bucket titled Second Half Slop, along with Stripes and Full Metal Jacket, because this film in the last 2 acts got very unfunny fast. 45 minutes in, that's it. Punch out. You go out on top, and it's a funny film. This film, it's a sprint for this film, not a marathon. But unfortunately, it's an hour and a half long. I give this film a 5 out of 10, only because the first, 45 minutes were great. And then it just goes bad fast and not funny.
Is that considered on this program a half win for me?
Not yet. Okay, and by the way, let's also discuss. I missed one more other thing here. Everyone says how rapey this film is. When you go back and watch it, it's not as bad, and here's why. Jennifer Jason Leigh is she's the aggressor. She goes after the stereo guy. She goes after the movie theater nerd, and she goes after Damone. Where's it? It's creepy because she's 13. Well, character's 13. But she's the one going after all these dudes. It's not like they're pinning up her against the wall or drugging her or getting her shit-faced or wherever and forcing themselves. That was something that was a misnomer for years. People are like, oh, how rapey this is. But
Roger Ebert gave this thing a scathing review at the time and said almost the identical thing to what you're saying. I also want to clarify one thing because I feel even less clean having watched this. I thought she was supposed to be 15. Somebody calls her 13.
I thought she was 15 too.
I might have wrote that down wrong. Okay,
she's 15.
Okay. And at either number, what Planned Parenthood is going to let her go have an abortion?
It was the 80s, man. It was a crazy time.
Anything goes. Kevin Israel, your thoughts?
So I saw this movie the first time about 10 years ago, where I actually watched it all the way through. And I remember, I don't think I was fully paying attention. I just remember thinking like, oh, this was a movie that I had to see, and I'd never seen it. And then I vaguely watched it, and I walked away going, I don't know, I wasn't that impressed. I didn't think it was that funny. This is really the second time I've ever seen this movie. And obviously it's just one of those epic movies that everybody talks about. The movie, my problem, and I'm not going to pick it apart piece by piece like Kev did, but my problem with the movie is that it's about nothing. There's no specific plot. There's no specific character arcs. There's no movement in the movie. They start a bunch of stories that could have been interesting, and then nothing ever ends up happening with them. There were a lot of great little scenes with no plot. And there were so many cool things that could have happened. Like when she walks in on Judge Reinhold jerking off, I was like, oh my God, she's going to have sex with him now. And then I realized, oh my God, I watch way too much porn because that's what happened in porn. That's not what happens in an actual movie.
She's not a babysitter.
But that was a scene, something happens, and then there was no payoff later on. There was no moment in high school where she was like, well, I know what he's got. Like there should have been something that happened with that, and it wasn't. It was just this weird scene that just ended and was never brought back up.
In fact, she should have ended up with Judd.
That's what I thought that was leading into. That's what I thought
was going to happen at the dance or because there was obviously no boyfriend in Chicago.
100%
about that guy.
The whole
sorry, go ahead.
The whole dynamic between Rat and Damone, and Damone being such a dickhead, I was sure he was going to end up doing something to him, and then they weren't going to be friends, and Damone was going to feel like an asshole. The fact that at the end they had that little exchange, and then they were friends again, it was like, so there was no consequence to that whole situation. There was no payoff to him being an asshole. It went nowhere other than in those little postscripts where they tell you what happens to them. And I always feel like that's a weak writing technique.
No, to the opposite of what you're saying, he actually cleans up his bullshit by taking her back as a girlfriend. He okay, Damone goes, gets her pregnant. Now he dumps her, and he takes up kind of like where he left off.
Right. Right. They get to be Eskimo buddies.
Yeah.
And then the scene with the Trans Am, they ruin the Trans Am. That whole thing happens with the football game, but then there's nothing after that. There's no like, oh my God, like they find out that Spicoli did it. It was just this weird little plot device that went nowhere other than the football game. And there was it was just this, it was like it felt almost like a little SNL skit that even that wouldn't have paid off. There was just
that moment was clever. What they did with the car and made him think that the other school did it. That was one of the clever things in the movie, I thought.
That was, right. But I feel like there should have been something after that. There should have been, it should have come back around. And then one of my biggest problems, I loved Spicoli in this. I thought Sean Penn was amazing in this.
I actually think he did Bill and Ted. Saving grace of this film. He was by far the driver in this by a light year.
And I actually think he did Bill and Ted better than Bill and Ted did.
Yep.
Because you really felt that he was that person. But I thought there was that whole sort of relationship that was evolving with him and Mr. Hand. I thought that was going to be more. I thought first of all, the idea of a teacher just showing up at your house and being like, we're going to sit and talk. What parent would let a teacher in to that was that was as weird as blowing a carrot in the cafeteria.
Especially if your name is Mr. Hand.
Right. But I thought, and they kind of inferenced at it, but they never got there, that there was this like sort of mutual respect between them and they understood each other. But I thought there was going to be a little more. Like it was going to turn out that Spicoli actually had been paying attention the whole time and he got everything that he was talking about, or that Mr. Hand was going to like smoke a joint with it, or something that was going to culminate this relationship that they'd been building up the whole time, and it went nowhere. So for me, this whole movie, there were some great scenes that just led to nothing. And it was great nostalgia for me because I was a kid in the 80s and I remembered a lot of that, like the sound of an arcade. But the whole movie just added up to nothing other than these characters just kind of bumping against each other and then kind of working their way into this universe. And then the writer confirmed that by the end, having to have those postscripts of what happened to the characters afterwards. So here's how they got theirs. So it wasn't what it was supposed to be for me. It definitely wasn't. I don't feel it was. I agree with you, Bill, that it wasn't one of the great teenage high school movies. And for me, I'm actually going to give it a 4. because I will never watch this movie again.
Real, even the first 45 minutes, you're not gonna stick with that.
I mean, look, it's great that I mean, it was a great it was a great experience to go. Remember when in the 80s when they would show tits just to show tits? There was no other reason behind it. It was just something they could do, and they knew they would get people in the theater just to see boobs. Like, that was refreshing. But honestly, I mean, no, I'm never gonna watch that movie again.
Well, if you think it's nothing based on what you saw, I'm telling you, and I know I said this at the top, but it bears repeating, this thing would not be as beloved as it is if there were a bunch of nobodies in it. I'm telling you, it glides on giddy enthusiasm because everybody goes, oh my God, there's Nicolas Cage, who was Coppola during this, for like an eighth of a second. And there's Jennifer Jason Leigh, who went on to do, so many other great things. Dolores Claiborne wasn't one of them, but like just a lot of famous people now.
I agree. I mean, I agree with Kevin. I think this whole thing rode on Sean Penn's back. He was the only really redeeming part of this movie, where every time he was on screen, I was like, all right, something funny or memorable is going to happen.
But the same thing happened. That's the problem I had. But we're saying the same thing. If you said you wanted more of a relationship between he and Ray Walston and all of that, yeah, you wanted more story. You wanted a better, more interesting.
And the science teacher, they go to the class trip to the hospital to go look at the fucking morgue. Really? Why? What did this have to bring in here?
Oh, right. I forgot about that scene.
Yeah.
It was totally based on Cameron Crowe had a teacher like that took them to mortuaries and they looked at dead bodies.
By the way, that same guy, the teacher from the train Ghost from the movie Ghost, which I finally saw for the first time yesterday. What a piece of shit that was. So,
oh, you finally saw it?
I finally saw it. It's so bad. 5 minutes in, I'm like, that guy killed Patrick Swayze. It's so obvious. And it's such lazy writing. And everyone's like, oh, it's so romantic. No, it's not. The pottery wheel scene, is that what we're going to go on? And didn't Whoopi Goldberg win an Academy Award for this? For what? She was funny. She was good. But was she Academy Award good? I don't know.
No. I thought Whoopi and Patrick Swayze, I thought the dynamic between them was fun.
It was fun. But other than that, the film as a whole was just shit. I hated it. But
one of the very times that a comedic performance won an Academy Award, because the Oscars hates comedies.
Oh, don't they ever?
They won't give it away.
Yeah, this film with Back to Fast Times, though, it's the same thing. It's just a bunch of stories that never happen. And then the dance at the end, okay, now what happens? They just show up high. Eric Stoltz and those guys, they show up high, and then they do the Animal House quotes followed up after the fact of so-and-so graduated from here, and then there. It's no one gives a shit. This shit is funny. It's hitting on all the tropes that we had as kids, coming early, trying to figure out girls
Those are called cliches, Kevin.
What's that?
Those tropes are called cliches.
That's in this case, they sure are. But it started off so strong, and just it's like that bottle rocket that takes off for a half second, like and then we're
gonna do a bottle rocket.
That's a terrible film. I will not go down that one. Did you like that one too, Bill? Is that what you're laughing at?
Yeah.
Wes Anderson and I are like oil and water, man. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Oh, Rushmore?
Nope. Election. That's not even him, though, is it?
No, that's Alexander Payne.
Yeah. I like, same kind of vein, but yeah, didn't dig that. But no, when you said Fast Times, you go, I don't know. And then Schultz was like, fuck him. And I said, all right, let's watch. But after last night, my wife came in about 45 minutes. And she goes, what do you think? I go, he may have a chance. And about an hour and 10, I go to the bathroom. She walks by the room. She goes, and I go, he's going to win this one. It's not a debate. So, but now let's get to the critics' 5-star reviews. Fast Times at Ridgemont High is a remarkable outlier in the teen movie genre, even if tone-deaf critics such as Robert Ebert panned the film upon its release in 1982. Nothing like giving another movie critic a sick burn. At least this guy stopped short of making fun of Ebert's Mitch McConnell turkey jaw, right? Fast Times will always be remembered for one thing: showing respect for the insight of its members of the core audience, something that was rare in the 1980s. Funny, I always thought it would be remembered for wearing a groove into the tape, paused 900,248 times when Phoebe Cates whips out the goods. That's what I thought. The comedy captured the brutal realism of post-sexual revolution high school life and has been Imitated often, rarely equaled, and surpassed only once. I want to know what that guy's once was.
Everything else.
Right. Pretty dated now, but it's early pen. That says it all, huh? Early pen. We're going to go with that now. Critics, 1-star reviews. What it doesn't have is a clear point of view, something that would make it more of interest than leafing through a high school yearbook.
Well, that was your point.
One of. Director Amy Heckerling has Director Amy Heckerling has failed to provide the raunch or poignancy that would interest young moviegoers, all who have seen American Graffiti and its 467 imitators. Ridgemont High, a nice place to visit, but who would want to transfer there? I say, listen, you're probably going to hate me too. American Graffiti put me as fast asleep as 2001: A Space Odyssey did. I thought American Graffiti was insanely boring. I see you rolling your eyes.
Well, I like 2001: A Space Odyssey more than
We
American
found
Graffiti.
one, Kevin.
Oh, Jesus.
More than American Graffiti.
We hate that. That's probably the worst film that we've reviewed on this podcast.
2001.
Yeah.
It's such a barrel of nothing. It really. How could they do this to Jennifer Jason Leigh? How could they put her in such a fresh and how could they put such a fresh and cheerful person into a scuzz pit of a movie written by Roger Ebert? Scuzz pit? I dare say he's a dweeboy to the max. And they didn't do this to Jennifer Jason Lawrence. She loved this role so much, she took a role in a mall pizzeria, for Christ's sakes, for 1 month leading up to this role.
That is true. And by the way, you keep morphing her into Jennifer Lawrence.
I know that. I keep saying that. I've done JJL. That's why I did that. Damn it, just to save space. Amazon, 5-star reviews. Yes, we actually got away with behavior like this in school. Pretty sad that I wasn't able to go see a movie about my teenage years when it came out without my parents along for the ride. Go figure. If I made a movie of the stuff I went through between 16 and 19 years old, it'd be X-rated, there'd be arrest, and I'd finally get the therapy I need, winky smiley face. If you've never seen it, watch it. Watch it with The Breakfast Club and Summer School as a triple feature. Damn, I missed the 80s. Stuff sucked back then, but at least it made sense. Signed, Harvard Class, 2018.
Listen, I just want to go on record as saying I can't compete as a critic with other critics who can use emojis.
I find
You're
it
at a disadvantage.
Yeah,
it's all right.
right?
We understand.
If you use an eggplant emoji and a smiley face, we'd understand what your thought about what this film is. I find it a bit weird reviewing this movie as it's from my generation, and I like to think everyone knows this iconic film. Well, sadly, my 17-year-old son never heard of it, so I got it and rewatched it, and he really liked it, as did I. Glad we got to it, and I was able to expose him to some vintage Sean Penn and Phoebe Cates. Bam! Signed, Emerald Lagasse, I guess.
That must be a really weird movie to watch with your son.
My dad actually had me watch Animal House with them. He goes, "Don't move. You'll like this part," because I had to go pee. And it's the part where he's hopping on the ladder to go see the pillow fight. He goes, "Don't move. You'll like this."
A much better boob scene than anything we saw in Fast Times.
Easily.
American Pie is the difficult one to watch on Father's Day with Dad.
Speaking of that film, I saw that film 3 times in the theater. Like I said, I told my parents, this film is so fucking funny. And they go, "Oh, really cool." Then I get a phone call from them, I don't know, a day later. Go, "Well, guess what? We saw the film. We liked it. And we took your sister to it," who at the time was 16 years old. 16, my sister at the time.
But it was rated R, wasn't it?
It sure was.
I mean, that's on them.
Yeah. Spicoli,
my personal best is Flashdance 14 times.
That's a good film. That actually, I watched it for the first time not long ago, maybe a year or two ago. It's good. I liked it.
I just kept taking people to it. That was my thing. Like, you got to see this. It's about stand-up, but it's also about this chick and blah, blah, blah. Whatever.
That stand-up comic is so fucking bad in that film.
You know what? I've never seen that movie, and I had no idea that it's about stand-up.
It's not. It's about a steel
not.
worker in a small town.
It's mostly about a dancer, but there's a couple of stand-ups in it.
Oh, okay.
It's good, actually. Give it a watch. Spicoli, the first slacker and stoner. No Bill and Ted or Waiting Guards without him. I say, did we forget about the original stoners? Fuck Cheech and Chong. I'm talking about the guys from Reefer Madness, everyone.
Reefer Madness, Jesus.
So I was a baby when this film came out, but after watching it some years later, it seemed like 1982 was a good year for junk food and video games. I mean, I agree with that. Amazon 1-star reviews. Just sex, sex, and more sex. High school was definitely not like this for me. It borders on amateur porn. Signed, Kevin Israel. This film impressed me. This film impressed me as a film for pedophiles. There were a number of scenes that included gratuitous sex, bare breasts, etc., of very young actors, both male and female. A lot of male breasts in this film. I didn't see any fat guys. It seemed like exploitation of actors new to the film industry. In addition, Jennifer Jason Leigh experiences a teenage pregnancy and has an abortion. It wasn't a realistic script. Sean Penn plays himself. There were cameos from future stars like Nicolas Cage. There was no point in the movie where you could say it was about a personal growth, a tragedy, or even buddy love. I loved him in Nutty Professor. It made Hollywood Nights look like a good movie. I like how this person thinks they know Sean Penn well enough to say that he played himself. And this person this isn't a real script? What do you mean? You never got stood up going to an abortion clinic before? I mean, that's how the population in Florida keeps getting restocked, people. What the hell did I just watch? This has to be one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. My goodness, the level of immorality and stupidity in this movie is so high. Where to begin? There is absolutely nothing cool or funny about this garbage. How can people find high school kids fornicating, having abortions, skipping class cool? No wonder why our society is garbage. Signed, Harvey Weinstein. Last one. Actually, yeah, this is the last one. Let me tell you about one scene. Damone takes her virginity. Of course, they don't use any protection. Then he takes her home. Easy, cheap date in more ways than one. This guy could have done anything he wanted to her, including killing her. Signed, Scott Peterson. The guy wrote, this guy should be on a watch list. What the fuck?
Nice.
Those are the Amazon 5-star reviews. Bill McCuddy, I want to know, do you think you got the sacred cow?
Really, I get to say that?
Well, we're gonna.
This is the first time, actually.
I know. I'm throwing a curveball this way.
I think I did an okay job, and I'm glad that 3 people on Amazon agree with me.
Kevin Israel, did Bill McCuddy's got the sacred cow?
Listen, I agreed with everything Bill said, and I was very unimpressed with this movie. I expected a lot more. That all said,
oh boy,
I don't know that he fully killed the cow. I think he put a beating on it, and there's definitely bleeding, and it's probably going to be walking funny for the rest of its life. But I think this cow will live to see another day.
I think this cow was not aborted, unlike Jennifer Jason Leigh's fetus. So that's a no for Bill. Oh, that's a tough crowd tonight. Wow. But nonetheless, Bill, we appreciate it like hell having you on here today. Why don't you shout out yet again where we can find you and all the shows that you participate in?
Please follow me on Twitter if you're still on that antique device, at Bill McCuddy. Also, Bill McCuddy or McCuddy Bill, both of them on Instagram. And please watch on your All Arts PBS channel, Talking Pictures with Neil Rosen and Bill McCuddy and some other nice folks. And we do a weekly podcast ourselves called Sitting Around Talking Movies with Neil. And I have another podcast coming for the Accutron watch company called the Accutron Show, which is launching in the fall. So listen for that.
They still make Accutron watches?
They're reintroducing them.
Are they going to bring are they going to try and compete head to head with the Casio calculator watch as well?
They own that company as well. So
Oh,
wow.
awesome.
Boom.
It's all in the family.
Apparently so. Thank you, Bill, for coming on. Kevin Israel, where can we find you?
KevinIsrael.com. Some dates are slowly trickling back in for stand-up comedy, so maybe by 2022 we'll be back to actually performing every weekend. But if you want to hear my comedy, you can always get my album, The Struggle is Real, on iTunes and everywhere else you download audio.
KevinGoatee.com. But, of course, GuttingTheSacredCow.com for blogs every day. We're doing every Monday a list of the week, the list of 10, hashtag list of 10. Tuesday, movie quotes we find near and dear to our hearts. Wednesday, movies we've seen. Thursday, movie news. Friday, movie sequels we love or movie sequels that we felt didn't need to be. Every day on guttingthesacredcow.com. And, of course, don't feel shy. Go out and get a shirt just like this one on Gutting the Sacred Cow's merch shop, a shirt, a hat, a bag, a bottle, a tote bag, whatever your little heart desires. Très joli, Clarice. Très joli. But again, Bill McCuddy, thanks for coming on the Gutting the Sacred Cow. We appreciate it. And we'll see you next time, kids. Take care. Bye.